very much. Faithfulness is actually an act of God because God is always faithful. I tell you, in the whole wide world, I have looked here and there within and outside this country, and I understand that there is no other God as faithful as the God we serve. In everything, God is always faithful. But the shocker, may I just tell you, is that God is not faithful to you. You will find it extremely shocking because you do not take your time to understand the fact that God is only faithful to his words. He's never faithful to individuals. Can you just imagine if God were to be faithful to individuals, then people of this world, people who have many politicians, presidents of nations, people who are influential, must have used their money, to occupy the place of God in everything that he does. He will not even have time for you because most times he will be busy attending to the rich people of this world. So many people will want to occupy God with bouncers, military men, and politicians will probably be using God in order to victimize their opponents. So you probably might not even find time, to go straight to God. Sometimes you go into your room, you kneel down, you pray to God. If God were to be faithful to individuals, he will never listen to your prayers because someone else will be occupying his time and his own abode at the same time. Let me just give you an instance on why God is not faithful, to individuals. Now, in the book of Exodus chapter 12, God gave an instruction to the angel of death and said that, okay, go into Egypt, kill all firstborn, all first children there, just kill, all right? But if God were to kill only the first children or firstborns of Egypt alone, then that would mean that God is partial. And God is never partial. So after he gave the instruction, then he gave another counter word or counter instruction to Moses and said that, okay, tell the children of Israel, tell them to slaughter the lamb, put the blood on the lintel and the doorpost. So if the angel comes around, when the angel of death comes around and sees the blood, then it will pass over. Now God gave such an instruction to everybody. Let me just shock you with the fact that to everybody, because if any of the Egyptians had slaughtered a ram or a lamb and put the blood on the lintel and on the doorpost, the instruction God gave the angel of death was that, go, if you find any blood on any lintel and the doorpost, do not enter that place. So if any of the Egyptians had obeyed and put the blood on the lintel and the doorpost, then the angel would never enter into their abode. So God did not give the instruction that all the firstborn in Egypt alone should be killed. He was looking for obedience actually. But I could just imagine that Egyptians were not just going to take the words of Moses, a slave for that matter. So their ego actually killed most of them. God can never be faithful to individuals because if he's faithful to one, then he will be faithful to all. So he chose not to be faithful to anybody. God does not act out of pity. God does not act out of emotion. So Psalm 138 verse 2 says that God exalts his words more than his name. So the only thing God is faithful to is his words. Now you can actually get God into the going. You can put it into his covenant by dragging his words into whatever you're doing. If you're doing anything and you tell God, God, look at what I'm doing, and you say that I shall be like a tree planted by the riverside that brings forth its fruit in due season, then you drag God into his words. So his words function in your life, in your business, in everything that you do. That is the only way you can get the faithfulness of God. Keep watching most of the videos that will be coming, and if you have any question, make sure that you always get in touch with me. I will be ready to answer your questions. You can like my page on Facebook, and at the same time you can as well subscribe to most of the videos I'll be sharing on YouTube. You have any question of life talking about Christendom, don't forget that I will always be here. Thank you very much for listening.